The Warriors have dug in, and they're trying to play hardball. From here, what happens? It's been over a month since the start of free agency, and we still have virtually no indication, I should say, of what's going to happen for next year with Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors. Courtesy of Tim Kawakami, now at the SF Standard, that this impasse that everyone has kind of been circling around with Kuminga has reached a new stage, and that is that the Warriors have effectively doubled down on the news from last week from Anthony Slater of ESPN that they were trending towards shutting down all sign and trade possibilities. Now they've officially shut them down. They say they will not, courtesy of Tim Kawakami, they are not going to trade Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know. How did you read that news when we went through the article today?
I think that it's just posturing. I think that if they got a call and there was a sign and trade offer that they loved, they would re-energize conversations. I think that the communication would reopen. But the way it's gone right now so far, the offers that they've gotten are not satisfactory. And I kind of agree with the Warriors. If the reported offers are what's actually been offered to them, and if they don't think that it's up to par for what they want to get back for Kuminga, then they have every right to push back from that. And I do think that Kuminga and his agent are more likely to be the ones who are pushing for a sign and trade because he wants to play elsewhere. And if you're the Warriors and you want to get into a sign and trade scenario, you really want to be wowed. You don't want to go in and just take Dario Saric and a protected first-round pick and, a rookie point guard who played about 8 minutes a game. Those guys aren't going to help you. You had Saric, and you need a real veteran rotational piece, and you want an unprotected first. And if that's not out there, then maybe it's a non-starter. So if you're the Warriors, what's your motivation to go through with a sign and trade? If the only motivation is having Kuminga off your team, then I don't think that that's motivation enough to take a crappy offer in a sign and trade.
No, but and this is like I agree with a lot of people. It's kind of annoying and it's gone in circles. But I think when I hear that the Warriors are not willing to trade Kuminga, it's kind of why we're here, right? It's because they've been reluctant to, at whatever stage through the first 4 years of his career, A, identify what path they would like to go down with him as a player, or B, what path they would like to go down with him as a trade piece. They have felt like he is worth more than the market does, almost every step of the way. And while I understand that, you love your own and you want to keep your own, I do think that the reason why that he's in the situation in which he ostensibly doesn't want to be here, the Warriors don't want to trade him, is because of news like today. It's because every single time there is a possibility to seemingly use him as an asset, which is all he is to the Warriors, I think, because if they don't trade him this summer, I think they're going to try and find a way to trade him in January or February. But the value, for whatever reason, doesn't match what the Warriors, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy Jr., that front office believes he's worth. And so, I mean, I don't take it as they won't trade him. I think you're right. They're kind of posturing. But I think this whole conversation that we're about to have is the whole reason why we're here in the first place.
I think we're here in the first place for a number of reasons. One, Kuminga values himself higher than what the Warriors value him just financially. And I don't know if last year, if you believe the reports about what may have been offered to Kuminga or what Kuminga would have wanted, it strikes me that there was probably a pretty big gulf between what he wanted and what the Warriors wanted to pay him. And so last offseason, that never materialized in anything concrete. And that's on both of them. It's on the Warriors because, boy, they would love to be giving him the Jordan Poole treatment, rather, which is they signed Poole to an extension. They never had to pay a penny of that extension, and then they traded Jordan Poole. And that would have been the best way that they could have gotten something for the asset as it sits. And I do believe that Kuminga and his agent, they wildly misread the market. And maybe Draymond Green was talking about Jonathan Kuminga when he said, you guys don't understand the CBA and the apron and all that, because all these restricted free agents came into this offseason thinking, here's our worth, and no other team out there has money, so you are what the market says you're worth. And unfortunately, Kuminga's not going to get as much as what the Warriors would have offered last offseason unless they can find some way to do a sign and trade. So I do think that both sides have kind of mismanaged the situation. And here you sit where it's now August and he doesn't have to sign the qualifying offer until October. And even that deadline can get mutually extended. So I think we're going to be facing this stalemate for a while.
I mean, but that's the other part of this too. As I think you don't shut down sign and trade offers unless you're trying to exact some sort of power. Like, to me, the Warriors are trying to, I don't know if it's regain leverage or really just establish their leverage in these negotiations. I do not think that Jonathan Kuminga wants to play for Golden State next year. I think the Warriors believe he does not want to sign that qualifying offer. Number one, because he would be back on the team. Number two, that would be immensely risky. And it would also be turning down, because the other detail from Kawakami, kind of piggybacking on what Amick said last week, is that the Warriors have the most first-year money on the table of any team that he could possibly play for. So he would be forfeiting a little over $10 million in just year one. So that combined with, again, the fact that he does not want to play for this team, in my mind, is why when I see this from Kawakami, I think they're just calling his bluff. Like, they're trying to call his entire camp's bluff that, all right, you're going to either sign that qualifying offer, which we don't believe you will, or you're going to sign our 2-year deal, which we have on the table. 2 for $45 is the report, 21.7 or whatever it is in the first year. And that's it. Those are your only two options.
Right.
And that's them flexing their financial muscles to try and get this over with, because, again, they're the only team in the NBA that has not made a move this summer.
It also flexes the reality of the control in this situation, because if they're saying we're not entertaining any more sign and trade possibilities, well, then Kuminga has really two choices. You play for the Warriors under some contract, or you don't play basketball at all. If that really is what this has come to. Now, I still believe that a sign and trade could materialize, but if the Warriors are dead set on getting a first-round pick that's unprotected and Sacramento doesn't want to do that, well, then maybe it is truly dead, because Phoenix doesn't have a first-round pick, I think, ever again, just by rule. They may not have that. And
They're not allowed. Right.
And if you're the Warriors, then you can say, all right, JK, it's either, you play for 7.9 and you have the trade ability in your pocket where you could refuse a trade, or you sign with us for 2 years and it's a team option for the second year, not a player option. And I think that's really the sticking point for Kuminga, is he wants it to be a 1-year deal with a player option. That way, after 1 year, he can, push away from the Warriors and say, nah, I don't want to be here anymore. But the team doesn't want to give up that level of control. So it is a stalemate. It is a standoff. And I think you're right about the riskiness of Jonathan playing on that 7.9 qualifying offer, because there's no guarantee that he's going to actually get to play a lot for the Warriors, right? Because, what we saw at the end of last year was a lot of DNPs and a lot of situations where they didn't even play him.
I don't know if the sticking point is so much in regards to the role, like if he's not going to play a lot, but that it doesn't matter how much he plays. It really doesn't. Over the last few years, it has not mattered whether he's been a starter, whether he's been DNP'd, whether he has come off the bench, whether he has emerged in a playoff series and averaged 24 points on 50% shooting. It has not mattered what he's done in the eyes of his head coach. His role is going to be backup and not Robin. That's Butler's role.
Right.
Yeah, you're not backup. You're like, you might be lower than Alfred. I mean, seriously, like there are pieces and levels to this in which Jonathan Kuminga, in the eyes of his head coach, does not factor in right now. And that's what I think he's trying to escape more than anything, is this, I don't know, this basketball reality for him in which he has no power. I think he's felt powerless for 4 years in terms of his role, his potential ceiling, and he's trying to basically reclaim that power this summer.
Yeah.
And whatever he has to do, I think he'll try to do it. Meanwhile, the Warriors, for whatever reason, do not feel like they can let him go because they've mismanaged other assets to the point where he's the last one they have to barter with.
And they also need him, I think. They need him as much as he needs them because and Mark and I have had this debate on whether or not it can actually work. And I believe that the two sides could come together and the two sides could agree to make it work for, I don't even know if it's 3 or 4 months or a whole season. I don't think that this is so broken that it can't work. Kuminga wants to be elsewhere, play more, and be a one, and have the ha-ha, as Guru likes to say, and get his money and go out there and start to show the world exactly who he can be. That might not be available right now this season. And the Warriors are in a spot where they don't want to give up Jonathan Kuminga for virtually nothing. So I think that they are motivated to keep him and make it work. And it doesn't mean that he's going to play 34 minutes a night and he's going to start every game. But I do think, Evan, as you look at an NBA season, you've got 48 minutes times 5 guys. That's 240 minutes a game times 82. That is about 19,000 minutes. And if you start to go through just the raw minutes of an NBA season and you give Steph 2,000 and Draymond 2,000 and Jimmy gets 2,000, you still have 13,000 minutes of basketball that need to be filled by actual human beings. And that's where I kind of side with Guru about a 22-year-old, and he may not be a great fit, and he's not, and he may not be the player that they need him to be a lot, and he's not, but he's young, and he has ability, and he's got, the youth on his side to where he could be a guy who could play 82 games and go out there and play 30 minutes a night and really do a lot for you.
Well, what we're talking about here is sort of the next stage or the latest stage of this Warriors and Kuminga impasse, which is that the Warriors, according to Tim Kawakami, are not trading him. That is off the table. The sign and trade is off the table. Kuminga effectively has 2 options. He can sign his qualifying offer for $7.9 million, or he can sign the Warriors' loan offer on the table, which they, according to Anthony Slater, believe to be more than fair, at 2 years for $45 with the team option. The Warriors have dug in, and they're trying to play hardball. From here, what happens? I don't think a sign and trade is necessarily off the table, but I do think that the Warriors are becoming increasingly impatient with how long this has played out. It's been over a month since the start of free agency, and we still have virtually no new news.
Right.
No indication, I should say, of what's going to happen for next year with Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it's frustrating, and I do think that everyone wants it to come to a close. But I guess, Dibs, and we can explore this more too as we move along here. But if this thing is to continue, like, how does it work? And the minutes allocation is something I do want to dig into also, because you're right. Like, if you get 19,000, there's gonna be some available. But to me, it's like not every minute, I should say, is created equal.
True.
Some minutes are for guys that just have to be out there. Some minutes are going to be in games that the best players are not going to be available for because they're going to be 37 going on 38, 35 going on 36. And would Jonathan Kuminga be open to doing that for a head coach that has shown a willingness to also, at a moment's notice, DMP him in the most important game?
I think that the reality of it, if no sign and trade happens and Kuminga has to go tail between the legs and play for the Warriors, the reality of it is that's the situation. Like, that is the role that he may have to play. And if it's a 1-year qualifying offer, or if it's a 2-year deal with a player option or a team option, whatever the situation is, it is incumbent on both sides to make the most of it and make it work, because Kuminga, he's got a lot of money potentially on the table that he would be giving up if he went into sulk mode or pout mode or me mode or whatever he might want to do. He ultimately has to put his head down and go to work.